do you have like a stand or something? Nah, I don't know what we'd do it to. Anyway, do you want to... We'll do a test? Do I need to press on or anything? No. All good? It's probably where I'd sit for most of the night. All good here. Nice and fine. No worries. Get a little bit louder. And... I always like to test it because... Good evening and welcome to the Ilinden Sports Centre as we finish off this midweek round 19 with a local derby of sorts. Rockdale Ilinden, the away side tonight at their spiritual home as they take on St George FC. Promises to be a great one. We've had a nice little midweek round as we've seen across the season and continues again this evening. This one the last of our round 19 matches with the late 8 p.m. kickoff. Nice cool 11-12 degrees, no rain, that stayed away thankfully. And Will Constantinides along with you for the ride this evening, and it promises to be a good one and one that should have plenty of goals looking at the recent games that these two sides have played and including their match back in round 4 where Rockdale walked out 4-0 winners. And they certainly are the favourites. The away side, technically, Rockdale Ilinden, but make no mistake, they'll feel very confident playing on their home patch this evening. And we'll start very quickly with the team news. We'll look at the host first, St George FC. Jane Talachevsky's side, they're 4 games without a win. And with the season ticking over towards its end, they'll want to make sure it's a stress-free ride and be safe of any threat of relegation. Right now, they're 8 points ahead of the playoff spot, and a loss last time out to Sydney FC right here. And changes have been made in response, 3 in total for Talachevsky, with Harry Jones and Daniel Axford dropping to the bench. Justin Poon drops out of the squad entirely. As for the rest of the squad, it goes like this. Returning in goal is number 1, Andrew de Blasio. Number 3, their captain and goal scorer last week, Troy Danaskos. Number 6 is Pat O'Shea. Number 8 in the base of midfield is Connor Quilligan. Number 17, Thomas Brown. Number 18, Mark Rodich. Number 23, Evangelo Souris. Number 27, Jaden Cito. And the 2 other new inclusions are number 2, Kaio de Godoy, and number 22, Aidan O'Shea. As for Paul D's Rockdale Ilinden, well, the good times are rolling. 6 straight wins for the league leaders, and they're now rising to the top of the table where they're sitting quite pretty. 4 points ahead of second placed RPM means either way they'll spend the next couple nights at the top before the weekend's round. And a dramatic 3-2 win over the Wanderers has kept them there. What a game that was for our match of the round. D makes just the one change in response to that game, with Giorgio Speranza dropping to the bench. Number 9, by Antonio, comes in his place. As for the rest of the squad, it is number 2, Daniel Collins, number 6, Isaac Dunzo, number 7, their goal scorer and the Golden Boot leader, the man to watch certainly this evening, Alek Udashevsky. Number 8 is Dean Pelikanos, number 10, Brendan Chalakian, number 11, who's been excellent as of late, Lockie Constable, number 14, Braden Sorge, number 20, Ricardo Rizzo, back in goal again this week, number 66, Mateo Cordier, number 22, Blake Richudo, and number 9, the new man to look out for, is by Antonio. A fast start, nice and early. It's only recent history between these two sides, with St George coming up into the competition. As Cordier looks to get going down that left wing, switching it wide. Receiving it back, they try and make it work. Cordier got it back off Antonio, making his way into the box. Udashevsky tried to turn. Still hasn't been cleared just yet, and I think Udashevsky was a bit too eager in the back of Kaio de Godoy. And that's the threat that Rockdale pose immediately out from the start. Side that is so good on both ends of the pitch there. League leaders in terms of least goals conceded. Equally competent in attack when you have all the weapons that they do. And they've turned it over here, and now this might be a good opportunity for St George to break through the counter-attack. Instead, Connor Quilligan looks to calm things down. He's up top this evening. De Godoy goes all the way back to de Blasio. De Godoy was on the bench last week against Sydney. Makes the start at the back as that one rolls right through to Ricardo Rizzo, who's only more recently come back into the squad. And Alek Udashevsky is down in back play here. Now this makes things very concerning from a Rockdale Ilinden perspective. Physio has come on, and if you've watched this competition, even if you've watched one Ilinden game this season, there is no doubt that Alek Udashevsky would have been heavily featured, and he looks to be okay. It is a cold old evening here in Rockdale. For now, though, he looks like he'll just need a bit of a massage on his back, it looks like, so might have potentially strained something in there. Looks like he might be getting it taped up as well. For now, though, Ilinden are down to 10. Rotudo look to play forward, and this might be a good opportunity for St. George to try and make use of their numbers here. For how long, we'll soon see. For now, though, it doesn't look like any substitutions are being prepared. So Ushevsky's just motioned to the fourth official. He's back out there now as St. George enjoys some controlled possession around the halfway line. Splitting the pass to find Souris. Here is Danaskos. Pass was loose, and Chalakian trying to get involved early, disrupt the play. Didn't come to effect that time as Pat O'Shea keeps it moving in midfield for St. George. Looked out there on the wing by Isaac Dunzo, part of this superb Ilinden midfield. Again, one of those unsung heroes as of late, Isaac Dunzo, but with how good Ilinden have been playing, it's hard not to notice all 11 out on the pitch as Udashevsky gives Antonio something to chase. Cleared well over the sideline, and that'll give Ilinden a chance to just march forward momentarily and reset now with Udashevsky back out there. And whilst it is technically Illinden's away game this evening, they'll certainly feel more than at home right here. We've got plenty of Ilinden fans in the house this evening. Their record here is outstanding. They've only lost once as the home team. They've played a couple of games as the away team here. They've lost 3 times here at Ilinden. Two of the 3 were when they were the away side, including against Sydney. It was a big upset loss that day. They're usually quite good here. All in all, it's been 3 wins. Well, it's only 7 wins, 1 draw. 6 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss right here. St. George, who lost to Sydney here last time out, as here they go, looking to try and start bright. It's crucial for St. George in this game to really control any waves of attack that come their way, as here is De Godoy looking long for Connor Quilligan. Wasn't doing, as seen over the line by Collins. Sent over, and now Udashevsky can get in behind. A beautiful ball forward by Constable. Picked up on the scraps by Chalakian, looking to cut it and slide it back post, but no one was making the run. Antonio had checked in centrally instead, but again, just when you think St. George are in control of possession on the halfway line, enjoying the ball, it's immediately switched out, and Rockdale can make use of it on the counter as Sorge will have a second attempt at the pass, and it does get to Constable. Tries to take it around the side of Jaden Cito, and Cito was well positioned to make the stop. Cito's been a big part of the St. George FC defence this season. He's started all games for them this year. He continues that streak in round 19, a very impressive record. As De Godoy sends it back from whence it came, here is Rotudo. Driving through the centre of the park is Cordier. That's a beautiful run from the back. Pass didn't match though. He beat a handful of St. George defenders, and he's gone in to win it back here. But it's St. George who come out looking the better. Danaskos turns, only sees white shirts ahead of him and decides to go back to Cito. De Godoy has Udashevsky on his back. But St. George have looked confident playing out despite the pressure, as here is Quilligan who can chest it down. Dropping it short for O'Shea, who will try from range, but was always rising. And that's some signs of positivity from a St. George perspective. They backed themselves to play out of a bit of pressure. Avoided a bit of a nervy moment defensively with Cordier making his way through the centre of the park. And once they won it back, they saw Quilligan, who wasn't really being marked by the centre-back pairing of Ricciuto and Collins. And that allowed him to drop it for O'Shea, and first strike of the game goes the way of the hosts, St. George. Danascos has his back to goal and is again forced towards Cito. And now Udashevsky will press de Blasio, force him into a clearance. Wasn't the best one from de Blasio, and that allows Ilinden to pick up possession in a good area here as well, but it's promptly turned over by Dean Pelikanos. Danascos flicks it on, and there's Quilligan again. This time he's dropped well short of the defensive line. Shifts it wide for Grozos. This is where he can be potentially dangerous. One-on-one against Cordier. Suris checked his shoulder and had to do so. The pressure was coming from Constable. And again, St. George. Another foray forward into the attacking third as Danascos drives that ball across the box, but O'Shea wasn't out there. He'd already made his run inside. As mentioned, Ilinden enjoyed a lot of success against St. George in their earlier match in round 4. There was a 4-0 win, and they had 4 different scorers on that day. Udashevsky, Chalakian were both out there today. Giorgio Speranza, who's on the bench, and Kakovsky, who's not in the squad. Good touches from Quilligan to play it around the corner, but Ricciuto had read it and put an end to that attack and said enough's enough. You'll have to start all the way back from de Blasio. Crossfield switch intended for Danascos, but Sorge had it read. The header will only come to the benefit of Danascos, who can use Quilligan. Ilinden do well to break up the attack. Udashevsky had made his run over the top instead of checking deep, and De Godoy has Danascos, who gets to the byline, sliced cross into the box, but it's seen overall. It's eventually tracked down by Grozos over on that far side. Again, they continue to look for Danascos. A couple of opportunities now he's had it crossing the ball in. St. George certainly have avenues into this game as they've turned it over in a bad area. Udashevsky's all alone, but he spots Constable making a run towards the wing. Constable gets in behind, brings his first touch down, has Cito ahead of him, decides to just hold it up momentarily and use Antonio. Getting to the byline, cutting it across, and Udashevsky was the target, but it only found Andrew de Blasio. Looks like I think Cordier is now on his haunches. He doesn't look in a good way. Might be a knee by the looks of it. Again, just going back to that chance, it was Udashevsky who seemed like he didn't have all that much ahead of him. Had the patience and wherewithal to wait for Lockie Constable to make his run, cutting across from the wing, and a well-weighted pass and well-timed run from both parties there. It almost got them a one-on-one opportunity, but Cito got just ahead of Constable to force him wide. And for now, it's another stoppage. This time it's Cordier. Before it was Udashevsky. They haven't played all that much time. It's around 10 minutes here, and Paul D has got a couple of injury concerns. Udashevsky looks to have shaken off whatever knock he had before. He seems to be all right. Doesn't seem to be clutching at anything. There's Quilligan again. That familiar pattern of play. He's dragged back, but play continues. Will stay with St. George. No advantage coming, says Kurt Ams. And they go back to Rizzo, who have to be careful here. Goes for this near sideline. Constable has a task on his hand to keep it in, and almost brought it down. Just ran out of a bit of room there. It was a great first touch over his shoulder. Swords read it well. Thought he had the throw, but it'll stay with Danaskos. A couple of balls on the pitch, but stay with St. George again, who have had the majority of possession, must be said. Had the only shot of the game, which was over the bar from Aidan O'Shea. Grozos flicking it around the corner well. It's good movement by St. George. They keep it in. It stays with them for now. This could be a good opportunity brewing as Quilligan tried to go through a couple of defenders and no doubt of offside on that occasion. It was Grozos who drifted in centrally, just got caught behind the back line. Rotudo looks down the line, but no one really to aim for. As Brown sends it back to his keeper, de Blasio. This time gets a bit more height on the clearance. Sorge goes up but didn't win it. And Danaskos' flick-on header falls the way of Souris. Quilligan overlaps him, and now there's more numbers coming in the box for St. George. It goes in, cleared away, and then seen over the sideline by Daniel Collins. But St. George continue to threaten. As they come again, here is Cito. This time he'll go back to De Godoy, and a loose touch falls away of Udashevsky, who's all on his own. No one really in support of Udashevsky. And went to ground in search of the foul, knowing that there were no further Ilinden attackers in support, and must have handled the ball as he went down, and Kurt Ams wasn't buying what Udashevsky was selling. Oh, lovely leave there by Evangelo Souris for Pat O'Shea, the class and the awareness. Sold everyone on the pitch. Danaskos again finds himself in a similar position. This time a much deeper cross. Goes towards Quilligan, who got his head to it but couldn't direct it goalwards. And again, it's these deep crosses from St. George, from Troy Danaskos in particular, that continue to pose a serious threat on this Ilinden goal. And with just over 15 minutes gone here at the Ilinden Sports Centre, still 0-0, but it's been plenty of signs of positivity from St. George FC. And make no mistake, Ilinden have had flashes on the counter. But if this first stanza of the game is anything to go by, the league leaders are in for a real test tonight. Tom Brown getting up for that header just before, and force Ilinden to start again through Ricardo Rizzo. Floats it up towards Sorge, who nods it down centrally for Constable. It's well worked here with Chalakian. Left it behind momentarily, and that allowed Danaskos to quickly intervene. It's Quilligan looking to unleash O'Shea, who gets a lovely touch around Rotudo and can go one-on-one and just wide of the goal from Aidan O'Shea. That would have been some finish. He did well to get it around his defender. Lovely touch with the outside of the foot. Took it around his back and then tried to finesse it into that bottom right corner, and he wasn't far away from doing so. And St. George were almost rewarded for a nice opening to this game that they've had so far. And again, they win it in a key area. Quilligan goes up for it again, looking for O'Shea. This time, Ricardo Rizzo comes out for it. And Paul D was not happy that Rizzo went long to Udashevsky, seeing that Udashevsky was matched up with 3 or 4 other St. George defenders, but that is a treatment that he is no doubt used to receiving. Being the league's leading goal scorer comes with a reputation amongst defences. We spoke about at the start of the game how it might have been key for St. George to ride out any pressure they had on goal early and see their way into this game. They've done more than that is for sure. Built some chances of their own. Looked good on the ball, playing out from the back, under pressure. Caused a couple of mistakes as well from the Ilinden defenders and played off some loose passes out of the back. As Brown hooks it back into play. Blake Ricciuto got a vital touch back to Collins, and that means his side can keep possession going forward. Antonio cutting it back, looking for Constable. And that's much better from Rockdale Ilinden. Tight angles there from Lockie Constable, trying to make it work around the corner. Slightest of touches from the man that scored last week in that dramatic comeback win against Western Sydney. His goal was the one that got it started. They were down 2-0 after just over 40 minutes and got a vital goal to kick off the comeback. Zubashevsky looking to chip it over towards Antonio. Stays with Chalakian, who puts a shot towards goal, palmed away by de Blasio. Still with Ilinden and passed just wide of the goal. Time stood still for a moment by Antonio. Thought he had a good look at it, and you almost expected the net to bulge. The ball was rolling and rolling away, and thankfully from a St. George FC perspective, it rolled wide of de Blasio's goal. De Blasio's going to have to play out under pressure here. DeGotto's put under the pump there by that pass, and Constable can get forward here. Tries to use the nutmeg on Cito, but he was wiser to it. Collins sends it back forward. And that might fill St. George with some optimism in this game. Chalakian sends it high and sends it wide towards Antonio. Here is Cordier, who had that run just a moment ago. We know that he can be confident going forward. As Dunzo keeps it moving in midfield, it's now with Ricciuto. A lot of numbers forward here for Ilinden. All camped out in the attacking half now. Pass from Collins. Only finds a St. George defender, but they'll have another go at it. Aerial ping pong between de Godoy and Ricciuto. Still here with Ilinden. Chalakian can't get through the traffic. Suris now has found Grozos in a bit of space, and counter-attack could be on the cards here for St. George. Grozos looking for that ball in between defenders for Danaskos. There are players arriving, and a great challenge by Braden Sorge. He thought it got a touch on Danaskos on its way through, but it'll stay with St. George for the corner. And that time it was St. George's turn to get forward on the counter-attack. Opportunity from the set piece for St. George. They've come close, as have Ilinden. They've had chances of their own. No one has been able to take them as of yet. As Grozos puts it deep towards the back post, headed in on goal. And that was a nice option there by Pat O'Shea. Couldn't put it towards goal and keep it down, but again, St. George, there's certainly a goal in them in this game. Make no mistake. Game just slows down a little bit in this midway point of the first half. We've had a very fast start to proceedings here. Chances flowing either way. See if the game settles now into a bit more of a natural rhythm. As Dunzo wins it just over halfway. So many bodies in midfield there. It's eventually won back by Ilinden, who get it through Chalakian, and that time they wanted the advantage. They'll have to take it back. Kurdam's already blew his whistle. They were trying to push forward on the left wing. Bay Antonio and Brendan Chalakian combining that time. Broken up by the whistle. Play gets going once more. Cordia. Udashevsky thought he was fouled. Quilligan knew he was offside, so decided not to intervene. Sent back to Rizzo, who will have to scramble just ever so slightly to get to this one. That invites the press. St. George win it back, and now there's been a heavy collision between Jaden Cito and Brendan Chalakian. Both have come off worse for wear after that one. Both well within their rights to go for the ball. There was not much in it. It was bouncing clearance from Ricardo Rizzo, and Chalakian just got their slightest of margins late compared to Cito. De Godoy decides to go back to de Blasio. This time de Blasio goes long, looking for the height of Quilligan, who won the initial header, but it'll fall to the feet of Rachudo. Cordia slipped as he was going for the pass. It's one back by Grozos in traffic. Again turned over. There's been plenty of turnovers quickly each way as Udashevsky is promptly whistled for the offside as he tried to get in behind. Sense of frustration maybe around the ground from both Ilinden fans and Ilinden players. This game has certainly not gone to script when you look at the relative ladder positions of the two sides and their form. Of course, we spoke about Ilinden, their 6-game winning streak is on the line tonight. Last loss was against Apia at Lambert back in round 11. Compare that to St. George, who are looking for their first win in 5 games. One back by Collins. St. George wanted the handball. They'll get the ball instead. Danaskos picks it up and drives forward towards the defence. Quilligan sees Souris centrally, and that's where he goes. And Souris and O'Shea, they've done really well at combining in midfield. That time it was Thomas Brown stepping forward, and that might have left the defence exposed ever so slightly. But again, it's Udashevsky who's isolated and has to wait for options to present themselves. This time it comes in the form of Antonio getting to the byline, blocked, and Ilinden will get their first corner of the game. Chance for Ilinden here. Corner is whipped in towards de Blasio, and he had to rise, and he rose well in the traffic. Udashevsky was amongst those trying to lay claim to that ball, and now his side might be able to go quick on the counter. De Grozos has been well spotted by Danaskos, but that is superb defending by Cordier, who's lost possession and then falls over Grozos. Very back and forth game here at Ilinden. Both sides are really in for it. Real arm wrestle of a game. As Chalakian has just come on the sideline. Given away by St. George. Constable picks it up. Has Chalakian, and Paul D and Johanne Talchevsky are engaged in some serious discussions here about the fact that Chalakian came towards the bench, seemed to have been given something by the bench, and then almost dispossessed Jaden Cito. As mentioned, there's only recent history between these two sides at NPL level. St. George coming up this year, but there's certainly no love lost between them. Sorge. Lost it to DeGodo, and St. George can get forward once again. Danaskos, we've seen him look dangerous tonight. And Braden Sorge has had a tough task, but he's met it well so far. And St. George wanted the offside. They felt that Udashevsky was interfering in play. This game is getting very, very chippy as the minutes tick on. Now here's Sorge. Chalakian. Danza has a check of his shoulder and moves towards the center of the park with Pelikanos. Ilinden happy to hold on to possession. They haven't been able to do this on too many occasions in the first half. Danzo has spotted Chalakian, and he was inches away from connecting with that pass. It was lovely vision to find him. Chalakian was at full stretch between the lines in that half space between Cito and DeGodoy, and had he latched onto that ball, it would have been either a shooting opportunity for himself or maybe looking towards Udashevsky, and now they might have turned it over, and DeGodoy just clears the lines and avoids any further danger. Rachudo continues his run, combining with Constable, the centre back. Marauding forward on a run, and is pushed to the ground by Troy Danaskos, and the St. George captain is immediately into the book, the first player to be carded this afternoon. And aside from that yellow card, Troy Danaskos has had a great run in his last 5 games. He's made the team of the week last week for his goal and has 3 goals in his last 5. And you can see why he's looked so good going forward. Not only does he provide plenty of goal threat, but tonight it's been all about the assists. And those crosses into the box, which have caused problems for Ilinden, which so far they've dealt with. And now Ilinden will have a chance. Alec Udashevsky has 3 in the wall to beat. Certainly can think about a shot here, maybe a bit of a cross as well. It's wide enough to consider both. Udashevsky through the wall, palmed away and tapped in by Chalakian. He was first to react, and Ilinden are first to score. He scored against St. George back in round 4, and Brendan Chalakian does the damage again. It was a troubling free kick from Alec Udashevsky. He struck it well with his trademark left foot. It was low and it was hard. It was dipping for the St. George keeper. He could only palm it, and in the end it fell to the Ilinden number 10, Brendan Chalakian. And that notches up goal number 8 on the season. And that is why they're the league leaders. They can sustain pressure, they can sustain chances, and they can make you pay on the other end. And make no mistake, they've had chances of their own. St. George haven't looked good, but Ilinden are the league leaders for a reason. Have found ways to win, even in the extreme unlikely circumstances. We saw that to a certain degree last week against Western Sydney. And this time they try to make it a bit more comfortable at their spiritual home. St. George will be disappointed in their reaction to the deflection. Conceding in that way, it was just a case of Chalakian wanting it more, and he's hacked down by Tom Brown. And he becomes the second man into the book just a couple minutes after Troy Danaskos went in. You sense this game might be in danger of getting out of control here for St. George. They wanted to go quickly there, but Kodam still had a bit of writing to do in the book, it seems. Collins. Ilinden looking to make it a quick 1-2 punch just before half time. Just over 10 minutes remaining till they head into the sheds for the break. And they're really finding their groove, it seems, now as the commentator's curse strikes. Grozos picks it up, and Quilligan thought he stayed onside. There wasn't much in that one, that is for sure. The flag went up immediately, though. And we'll take a quick look back at the replay in just a moment, but the margins on that offside were so tight with Ilinden playing that high line, with taking the risk in doing so. The defensive structure was set well, and they might get a chance on the other end. Chalakian trying to turn provider this time. Goes with his left towards the centre. Antonio was getting up and might have felt the breeze of the ball across his forehead. He was not far away from making it a quick 2-0 for the visitors. And just looking back at that offside from Connor Quilligan, it was very, very close. And had the flag stayed down, had he timed his run a bit better, we've been running away with a one-on-one against Ricardo Rizzo. In the last 10 minutes, Ricardo Rizzo hasn't had all that much to do. He had a very busy start to this game. New inclusion in goal, replacing Harrison Devonish Maris, as we stay with Ilinden for now. A chance to make it 2 off the crossbar. And then it comes back in from Constable. That could have gone anywhere. And in the end, it goes out for a corner. And it's a head-in-hands moment for Bay Antonio. He was the man that went one-on-one. And it rattled the crossbar. It was so close to making it 2. This time Antonio comes across to take the corner. Goes near post and doesn't clear the first defender in Grozos. Danzo has a chance to get it back in. Dogoro rose highest, brought down by Udashevsky. Fancy flicks to send it out towards Antonio. Tries again. Cannons off Cito. They're falling over themselves in midfield, but it's St. George with another chance to turn defence into attack. Aidan O'Shea is all on his own now. Tries to get past Sorge, and that's stand-up defending from the Ilinden right back. And this game is really reaching into top gear now. It's very fast out there on the pitch. Both sides looking to go quickly, try and take advantage of a bit of disorganisation in transition. Cito goes back and might invite the press again. Dogoro just has to send it over the sideline. That's not the first time that St. George more recently have tried to play out, but haven't looked as confident as they did in the opening stages of this game. Sending a couple over the sideline just to avoid any danger direct on goal. Ricardo Rizzo again continues in goal. We spoke about it just a moment ago, replacing Harrison Devonish Maris, who's, as reported by fellow NPL New South Wales commentator Tony Tanus last week in the match of the round, he's heading off to Sydney FC. He'll join them on July 1st, so until then it's a bit of a break for him and gives Ricardo Rizzo a chance to set himself. I'd certainly prefer this game over the one he had last week. A nightmarish start for Ilinden. They look to make it 2. Udashevsky bearing down on goal. Only has the keeper to beat. And you can't stop him. You can only hope to contain Alec Udashevsky. He's the league's leading goal scorer. And he notches up number 24 in all competitions. Make that 17 goals in his 18th start in the league. And that is why he's the man around here. You give him a chance like that, and he will punish you. And it looks like there was a change to the starting team sheet that I wasn't aware of until just recently. We'll make that correction now. It's actually Daniel Axford who's in goal for St. George. De Blasio was listed as the starting keeper. And so they must have made that change right before kickoff. And even now looking at the team sheet, it's still De Blasio who's listed as the starting keeper. And as Axford has just turned around, I've seen the different number, so here is Axford, who had a nervy moment there between him and Kaio de Godoy. And Udashevsky continues his fantastic scoring run, it must be said. There's only 2 clubs this season that he hasn't scored against in the league, and that is Sydney Olympic and, interestingly enough, bottom of the ladder, Central Coast Mariners. And we've ticked over just the halfway point. You have another chance to score against them and make it a goal against every single side in the competition. Which, aside from the ridiculous numbers itself, just shows how he can punish all different types of defences. And that's really been his first shot at goal by memory. And when he ran through, there was never any doubt about it. Just lashed it home with real power. Gave Axford no real chance at it. Aidan O'Shea, St. George, they're looking to bounce back. They've had a rough end to this half, just over 5 minutes remaining here. They've given it away there cheaply. Lovely pass forward by Antonio. Cordy has made the bombing run forward, overlapping. Holds it up and waits for support to arrive. Checks back inside towards the man that gave him the pass, Bay Antonio, and was dispossessed by Mark Rodic. And up is the cry from the St. George defence, wanting to get their defensive line nice and forward. Again, we spoke about how Illinden's quality can overrun you at times. Sustain that pressure in the first 20 minutes or so, and this ending to the first half so far with just over 5 remaining. It's been all theirs, there is no doubt about it. Defence has organised out any of those kinks that it had in it before. And Axford sends that onto the roof of the Ilinden club. And Axford, who returned as a starting goalkeeper last week. He was previously on the bench for the couple games before that. He started all of the first 8 games of the season, and then since then he only started 4 in 14 before this one. It was De Blasio who was listed to start this game that was ahead of him. The St. George defence have been punished by Chalakian and Udashevsky so far. Here he is again, Udashevsky looking for a second try to do it all himself, and Axford was able to prevent it from going for a corner. Had to be alert at the near post. Collins went up against Quilligan, giving up a lot of height in that battle. Quilligan is taller than both Blake Ricciuto and Daniel Collins. And again, Udashevsky is down here. It looks like it might be a Similar issue to the one that he suffered in the first 5 minutes. And again, he's back, but he's not in a good way, that is for sure. He's hobbling around out there, is the Baker. And this might attract the attention of the Ilinden bench. They're up 2-0 here. And a couple of subs have been sent over to warm up. Yinka Sunmola, one of them, the former Mount Druitt Town Ranger, who played against St. George FC in the promotion playoff at the end of last season. He was unsuccessful on that day. Might have a chance to repay that debt as it's cut back towards Constable by Chalaki. And now Antonio who lashes, and it goes high. And he's had a couple of chances now. Bay Antonio struck the crossbar just over the goal again there. As Ilinden continue to really turn the screw offensively. And a third goal you'd think would put this game out of reach for St. George, considering the fact that their attack has dried up in the second half of this first half. And it looks like we'll have 1 minute of additional time for this one as we tick into the final minute of regulation time. And so we'll keep an eye on Udashevsky and whether or not he comes out for the second half. They might consider making that change at the halftime break. Paul D and the Rockdale coaching staff. For now, though, he's out there, but he's certainly not 100%. Considering this is a midweek game, a bit of rotation might happen in the second half. They've, as mentioned, made just the one change from their starting lineup, with Speranza coming off onto the bench in place of Antonio, who's out there on the left wing. Has been looking dangerous. Ahead of them, they have Manly at home this weekend, right here. It'll be a fixture that they'll be expected to win, but Manly have thrown up a few curveballs as of late. They beat Apia recently, which would have been helpful from an Ilinden perspective. It's allowed them to open up that 4-point lead at the top of the table. As for St. George, they have the derby. They've got St. George City at home coming this weekend. That'll be a great game. Counter-attack again coming. It was Antonio looking for Udashevsky. Rolls out of play. Ilinden, it'll still be Ilinden ball, but Antonio thought we'll throw in for Ilinden, or we're throwing for St. George here. I thought Kurt Adams had initially signalled Illinden's way, but it's been brought back for St. George. We just had confirmation. 1 minute has gone up. Maybe a last chance for St. George to make something of this ending to the first half. It's been a bit of a dry spell up top since those two goals have gone in. It was certainly coming from Ilinden perspective for the 10 minutes before Chalakian's goal. They were really looking to build something, as they'll do so again. Sorge has made a lung-busting run forward. Allows this side to keep the ball with the throw. It looks like it'll be Ilinden who have the last throw of the dice. Whistle in mouth for Kurt Adams and puts an end to the half. And it's all gone to plan from a Rockdale Ilinden perspective. The league leaders have a commanding 2-goal lead at the break, courtesy of Brendan Chalakian, who got on the end of Alec Udashevsky's saved free kick. And then it was the Golden Boot leader who decided to do the damage himself with the second goal, easily converting a one-on-one opportunity. And so half-time here at Ilinden Sports Centre. It's been Will Constantinidis with you for the first half. We'll see you back soon for the second 45. back out here for the second 45 from the Ilinden Sports Centre. It's Rockdale going to script so far for them. They're up 2-0, courtesy of a couple goals just before the half-time break. First to Brendan Chalaki and second for Alek Udashevsky. And any concerns about a knock to Udashevsky have been waved away by the Ilinden staff. He's back up there at the top of the attack for Rockdale in that number 7 jersey, so he looks right to continue again. As for the rest of the teams, they both look unchanged. We'll keep an eye on any subs as they happen. Bit of confusion over the throw. It was intriguing to listen to the chat between the two benches as Quilligan might be able to get one quickly over the other side of the half-time break. And for St. George, it goes without saying, really, it is vital that they score next. The third would be crushing, considering the way that Ilinden are playing and how hard it was for them to get chances at the end of the first half. Godoy splits the defence and finds Rodic over on this far side. If I'm not mistaken, I think Peter Grozos has switched his boots at halftime. He's wearing a bright yellow highlighter instead of the orange ones he was wearing in the first half. Maybe that might be the key for St. George potentially getting back into this game. You never know with footballers, they're a superstitious bunch. And Sorge tries to unlock that right wing by overlapping. Doesn't come to fruition on that occasion, but again, Ilinden just able to recycle possession so well. Their midfield duo of Danzo and Dean Pelikanos at the base, and then Chalakian as the number on his back suggests, playing that number 10 role. That's why they're top of the league. Looking for that reverse pass to Constable, who was making the run, and St. George have a bit of numbers to work with here. Peter Grozos has picked up the ball. Gets around Cordier. Feeds it in behind O'Shea. The flag is down. Great save by Rizzo. Not cleared initially, and then anywhere will do for Ilinden, but a very nervy moment at the back to start this game. It was Aidan O'Shea who had a chance not too dissimilar to the one he had in the first half where he almost beat Rizzo. Udashevsky makes his move that time. Still with Ilinden, Udashevsky's flag has gone up and he'll be denied the chance at his second of the game and Illinden's third. And a very fast 3 minutes. It's not too far away from how we saw this game start in the first half. A fast and frantic affair between two sides in need of a win for very different reasons. As Collins makes up for that initially errant touch, Chalakian can't get past to Godoy. He was giving up a bit of size in that matchup, was Brendan Chalakian over the St. George central defender. Rodic felt that he was dragged back. Kodam said it wasn't strong enough and play continues. Rizzo sends it towards Richudo. Given away by Ilinden, and again, much like they did in the first half, St. George have come out swinging. And Grozos is fouled. And oh, this might be, again, potential stoppage here. Looks like it's Brendan Chalakian on the ground, and again, he's not the first Ilinden player to go down this evening. They've had their fair share of bumps and bruises. And Chalakian, who's made it 2 goals in 2 games against St. George this season. He, as mentioned, scored one in the first game back in round 4. Scored the first, and Just getting that knee tested out by the looks of it. Former Manly and Sydney Olympic man. Must have come off and then come back on. Still no signs of a substitution on either end of the bench in this game. And so instead it'll be Peter Groslos to use that out-swinging left-footed delivery. Try and cause a bit of problems for the Ilinden defence. And it might do so, but it's calmly collected at the back by Rizzo. He's certainly looking sure of himself this evening. We mentioned the circumstances in which he's come into the squad. Placing a very popular number one option in Harrison Devonish-Mures. It's always one of those positions when you need stability, the goalkeeper. So far Rizzo's looked relatively comfortable. Certainly still adjusting with the back four. There's been a couple of occasions between himself and the back line where they've given the ball away in distribution, which has allowed St. George sniffs on goal like this. Rodic. Loose pass and Cordier keeps Udashevsky on side. Chalakian has options left and right. Decides to go left towards Udashevsky. Flag is down and it creeps in again from Alec Udashevsky. He's got his second of the evening and again it's a one-on-one opportunity which he buries with that left foot. Snuck it into the tightest of corners. Taking a clip off the post on its way through. And he adds to his tally for the seasons. 25 in all competitions. 18 in the league. And the Baker is well and truly having a night out there tonight. It was a lovely pass as well to find him. A well-worked move which started with Cordier. Udashevsky dropped it back for Chalakian, who picked his pass well. A lovely run off the shoulder by Udashevsky. And then the poachers finished to go with it. Do not be deceived by how good his finishing is. His off-the-ball movement as well. Alec Udashevsky is exceptional. See there on that run, he just takes off the shoulder of the defenders, finds the gap, and with his finishing ability, it was basically a done deal from there. And now Ilinden have a commanding 3-0 lead, trying to match that 4-0 win they had over St. George in round 4. Now Constable, he moves centrally, and again, Antonio. He comes inside and put in, and an even better finish from Lockie Constable. And now they're having a party, Ilinden. Fantastic finish by Constable. He drifted centrally. It looked like he was going to go for the pass. The runs were coming left and right. And then he picked his spot with his right foot. He makes it 2 goals in 2 weeks. He got one against Wanderers, which started the comeback. And then now he gets one at the end of a 4-goal streak for Ilinden. As the league leaders are really strutting their stuff now. He picked it up deep. Did Lockie Constable. He went all the way from halfway, took out a couple of defenders, put the strike past Axford. And he's been a man in form as of late, Lockie Constable. Made the team of the week for his efforts against Western Sydney. He'll certainly be back in the conversation again tonight. That one is up to people other than myself who decide. And he's really enjoying scoring. He's found real form in front of goal. Lockie Constable, if you look at their recent run of games, Ilinden, Constable's been involved in the score sheet in almost all of them. He has now 5 goals in his last 5 NPL appearances. He stretched that to include the cup match against Phoenix FC. He has 6 goals in 6 appearances in all competitions, which is an outstanding record for a winger. Again, it just goes to show the firepower that Ilinden have on all fronts, and they ended the first half with a goal-scoring flurry, and they've done the exact same to start the second 45. And St. George now find themselves with a mountain to climb against, and the side that can present the biggest of mountains. Loaded delivery in, headed towards goal, deflects out back towards De Godoy. And a good smart save by Ricardo Rizzo. He would have seen it late in traffic. And the new custodian looks to pick up a big clean sheet for his confidence here, to go along with this 4-goal thumping that they've already put up here, Ilinden. And the ball goes out of play. We might just take the moment to check in on the scores from around the grounds, which might have a bit of impact on the significance of this particular game. Constable gives it for Danzo, looking for Udaszewski. He was a bit behind the pass that time. And looks like St. George are going to prepare a sub. I think that's Jesse Spang down on the sideline, going through the final stages of his warm-up, so keep an eye on that one from the sideline. Cito. St. George looking for a bit of positivity to make it, or avoid making it 5 games without a win. They'll have to really come back from here as Chalakian goes himself. And a few fans around the grounds thought that one went in. It was just off the stanchion behind the goal and into the side netting. But Rockdale are not content with this 4-goal lead. They're going for the ultimate kill here and trying to make it 5. They notched up 9 against Phoenix FC not that long ago in the Cup. And that was against non-NPL opposition. They've put up big scores before in the league. As mentioned, one of them was against St. George in round 4. It was a 4-0 win that day. So as the game settles down ever so slightly, we'll take a look around the grounds for you. Between Blacktown and Manly, it's Blacktown who are leading 2-0 with just a couple minutes remaining in that one. Meanwhile, it's Sydney Olympic who have thrashed Marconi 4-0 away from home. That's a massive result for Olympic. We'll get to the other scores in just a moment as St. George try and clear their lines. They eventually do so. Meanwhile, Sydney United have also registered a comfortable win, it seems, against Northwest Sydney Spirit. They're up 3-0 at home. And meanwhile, between Wollongong and Sutherland, that game's winding down. It's Wollongong who lead 2-1. So a couple of big scores there. Had 4 goals here, and the way Ilinden are playing, you wouldn't put it past them to go on and score a couple more. Really add to that goal difference, which could come in crucial for the premiership. Chalakian has spotted Udaszewski, who's in a foot race to get there, but it's well tracked back by Brown. Have to be mindful of Udaszewski's run. You have to know where that man is at all times. And that substitution might just be coming now for St. George at the next stoppage in play. It looks like they'll wait one more instead. Cordier searching for an option. Chalakian nods it down, was looking for Bay Antonio. Cordier tries to win it against Grozos, and lovely feet by the St. George attacker, who's agriculturally hacked down by Lockie Constable. He knew he was beaten and just put out a leg late there as Grozos was running down the other end of the pitch, hoping to create a bit of positivity. It's going to the book as well for that challenge. Might be a double sub as well, coming for Jane Talchevsky and St. George FC. A couple of players just receiving final words of instruction. It's a cold night for subs to come on, have to make sure they're warmed up. Temperatures tick down now towards 10 degrees. Bit of wind about as well. Cedo takes it inside. Now with Danaskos, who's had a very quiet second half. He's been shut out by the Ilinden defence. He was one of St. George's most dangerous players in the first half. A couple of wise words from Paul D, no doubt, as foul. Looks like it might have been on Danzo. Right in front of the Ilinden faithful, who aren't pleased with the call by the sounds of it. Cross comes in. Cordier just gets the slightest of touches over it and sends it away from Kaio de Godoy, who's in a hurry. Instead leaves it for Aidan O'Shea. Attacking corner for the host to try and work something from here. Ball comes in from O'Shea. Out to the top of the box it goes, and the counter-attack could be on the cards for Ilinden. Cordier has Antonio moving centrally as well as Udashevsky. Makes the pass. It comes back out for Constable. And the man who scored a well-taken fourth goal of the evening couldn't bring the pass down, but it still stays with Ilinden. Here is Blake Richudo. That second half defensive partnership, him and Daniel Collins have been exceptional. Richudo, who's in his second stint with the club. He was here 6 years ago in 2018, played with the team for 3 years before heading over to Singapore. Notched up his first goal for the club in his second stint. That was last week against Western Sydney Wanderers. It was a dramatic goal to score your first upon returning to the club. And meanwhile, St. George have rung in the changes with Harry Jones and Jesse Spain coming on. Connor Quilligan has moved into midfield to allow for that change. Udashevsky waiting. Oh, lovely Bonner pass. Thought he was trying to pull it off, but again, those are the types of things you can do when you're 4-0 up and already scored 2 goals. Waiting for his hat-trick, of course. Had a brace a couple of weeks ago against Sydney FC. And Brendan Chalakian's just having a bit of a chat with Paul D about having a bit of a rest. No doubt the game against Manly to come is firmly in the minds of the Ilinden coaching staff and St. George coaches, and Jane Talchevsky have the derby to think about as well. Potentially rotating players. Comes out for Grozos, who was looking to get to it, but Cordier again, who has had a fantastic game. Been very, very solid, has Mateo Cordier, former Wanderer. And handball whistled against Connor Quilligan. Ilinden will be in no hurry to get play underway, just happy to keep the ball and keep the clock ticking over, avoid any danger of a miraculous comeback from St. George. Collins goes up for it. He's been strong in the air against tough opposition in Connor Quilligan. As mentioned, he's giving up a couple of inches of height in that matchup. Grozos looking to disguise that pass, but Swords read it and is going to try and let it roll over the sideline, and they'll take the goal kick. So a quick look at who Ilinden have in their next 5. They have a relatively interesting run of fixtures. They have Manly at home next week, which is a game they'll certainly be expected to win. Marconi away and Blacktown City away, back-to-back weeks. Those games won't be easy, especially Blacktown City, who are really coming into form. Marconi have been trounced by Sydney Olympic on their home deck, so that game will be difficult, but Marconi could be vulnerable. They have Hills at home and then Northwest Sydney Spirit away as well. Games they'll certainly be favourites in. I mean, the league leaders, they'll be favourites in almost every game they play. And a triple sub for Paul D. And the first one will be Lockie Griffiths coming on. Also coming on will be So Kataoka. And rounding out the triple change is Hunter Elliott, who came off the bench to score last week. And making way is Lockie Constable, Braden Sorge. And we'll have a quick look at who the third player was who came off. Looks like it was Blake Ricciuto. Or no, it was Isaac Dunzo instead. Ricciuto's moved into midfield. And so signs of a bit of rotation with this weekend's fixture in mind as Kataoka goes into midfield. He's yet to score in the league is their Japanese recruit. Scored against Phoenix FC in the Cup, which would have been a nice confidence booster for him. Cleared away by Griffiths. Scored in the 20s, has So Kataoka. Well worked by St. George. Quilligan didn't know much about the ball coming back to him, but it's still at his feet. Looking to weave his way through traffic. And they just got their wires crossed in the final third there, did St. George. Still looking to play, still playing with positivity. So with just over 20 minutes remaining, Ilinden attack, and Nudashevsky was trying to make it work, trying to turn provided this time. He might be credited with the assist for Chalakian's goal, the first one. That one deflected off his free kick and into the path of the fortunate, but no doubt grateful, Brendan Chalakian. And he showed his gratitude with the emphatic finish to make it 1-0. If my memory serves me correct, he was the one who laid it off for Lockie Constable and his spectacular solo goal. It's no doubt Constable who did all the hard work, beating a couple of defenders and flying the finish. And Spang might be able to add a bit of positivity here, trying to burst his way through it. All costs through a couple of defenders, but such is the resilience of the Ilinden defence. Whenever they're knocked down, they'll immediately get back up and be solid. As they look towards the Dascos, flag is up, even though he finds the back of the net. Another sub is on the way for St. George. It looks like it's going to be number 11, Anthony Morabito, in place of number 2, Kaya de Godoy. He's had a tough old night at the back, as have all the St. George defenders. They've been terrorised by this potent Ilinden attack, showing why they're second in the league in terms of goals scored. Now scored 47 goals in 18 games. It's a ridiculous record. Quilligan looking ahead for Spang. Cordia heads it back looking for Richudo. Now Udashevsky makes his run forward to press. Danger could be coming here for Cedo. Had to be careful with Katoaka. Cordia went up for it, didn't come down with the header, but he'll stay in his possession with the throw. As for St. George and their next 5 fixtures, as mentioned, they have the derby coming up this weekend. That'll be appointment viewing against St. George City. Then they have Sydney United 58 away, Apia Leichhardt away. Both very, very difficult away trips, especially with how Sydney United have been playing as of late. Apia needs not be said. They've put their crosstown rival St. George City to the sword tonight. It's 4-1 now. And then they have Western Sydney at home and West Sydney Spirit at home. So then a couple of interesting games. Western Sydney will be a tough task, but there's a bit of rotation with the A-League off-season, giving some players some rest. Could be an opportunity for an upset there. And then against the Spirit, they'll back themselves against a side that's not too far away from them on the ladder. As mentioned, they're not in any direct threat of relegation right now, St. George. They'll stay 8 points ahead of Sydney FC below them. Or rather, Sutherland below them. Sutherland are currently in that relegation playoff spot. So Sutherland who have the game in hand, so if Sutherland were to win that, it goes down to 5, and then things become a bit stressful down the end for the boys who came up this season. They would have claimed a huge scalp tonight had they been able to get it done, and they certainly started like it was going to head that way. Had the possession, had plenty of chances, but couldn't breach the Ilinden defence, and since then have paid for it at the price of 4 goals. Pressure's coming. And so St. George clear their lines. Cordier is strong in the back of Morabito, and Spang has been given something to chase, but it's far too close for Ricardo Rizzo to claim. Rizzo gives it out to Griffiths, who promptly moves it on to Cordier. Ran out of room on the sideline, and Rodic gets play going once more with Connor Quilligan. Danaskos looking for Spang, and Griffiths clears towards Chalakian. Now Richudo, only into Grozos, and St. George will come again. Quilligan. Danaskos. Rodic and Spang. Great challenge in there by Griffiths. He was clean and he timed it well. And now Udashevsky is off to the races. The flag has stayed down. Again, he bears down on goal in search of his hat-trick. Palmed away, and then he tries to make it work with his chest or his hip. Trying to show that he can score with any part of his body. Alek Udashevsky for the hat-trick. A good save at the first time of asking by Axford, and had to close down that angle as the ball came up awkwardly for Udashevsky. And he lets out a groan of frustration. He knew that was the moment to get his hat-trick. It's been a rare chance for Udashevsky where he's had a shot on target that he hasn't scored. Just around 15 minutes remaining here at the Ilinden Sports Centre. Still, it's all Ilinden's way, as the scoreline has suggested. As Collins went in strongly, and now he has to be careful he doesn't get booked here for delaying the restart. Daniel Collins, who joined almost exactly a year ago from Blacktown City. Joined in late June of 2023. A smart acquisition, been a big part of this defensive line. Only has 2 yellow cards as well on the season, which is a very clean record by centre-back standards. And there's a bit of fun over the ball getting back in play. Morabito tries to take Cordier one-on-one, but supporting back there was Bay Antonio, who does his defensive duties well. And now Cordier has been given license to roam forward. Looks up and sees Udashevsky centrally. Maybe could have thought about the switch. An ambitious switch it would have been towards Chalakian. And that's exactly what Dean Pelikanos tries to do. Off the post, so close. Attack almost working out there. By Hunter Elliott, he marauded forward from right back. Just cut through the entire St. George defence, and now Jesse Spang, he stayed onside and has Morabito centrally. Jesse Spang, a chance to get one back. And a bit of optimism at the end for St. George. Jesse Spang races away on the counter-attack to make it 4-1. Barely seconds after Hunter Elliott struck the post on the other end for Ilinden, and that's summarised this game. It's been very back and forth. And Jesse Spang gets a nice goal, a nice consolation goal there for St. George, but with about 12-13 minutes remaining, it would take some real comeback to chase down this 3-goal lead. And perhaps a bit of a wake-up call at the back for Ilinden. They cannot simply cruise to the end of this game. We've seen that offside trap played at various stages of this game, and on most occasions they've got it right to perfection. That time the line was just not up together, maybe a product of a couple of substitutes in the back line as well. Not fully on the same wavelength, and Jesse Spang was racing away. He timed his run perfectly. As Yinka Sunmola is getting ready to come on. And now St. George, they're playing with a bit of confidence. Trying to make a bit more of a dent into this lead. If they get a second in the next few minutes, that ending becomes a bit more stressful for Rockdale Ilinden. Has to come soon, though, to give themselves a real chance of tracking this one down, but the momentum is certainly in their favour. Playing with a bit more urgency now. Spang again is the target, and this time it's flicked over the goal off his head. In response to that, Paul D has gone to his bench. It'll be Speranza and Sunmola coming on in place of Mateo Cordier. And Alec Udashevsky, he won't get his hat-trick tonight. He came oh so close to doing so. And the Golden Boot leader notches up now 18 goals in 18 starts in the league, that is. Mentioned it was 25 goals in all competitions. And so like-for-like swap with Sunmola going straight to the top of the attack and Speranza going straight to left back. Both Cordier and Udashevsky more than deserving of an early break. They've had great games in their own right. It's been a very entertaining game of midweek football, it must be said. We predicted goals at the start of the broadcast, and it's certainly delivered. As have all the midweek fixtures, really. They've all been quite high scoring. Ilinden Sports Centre last night played host to that 3-1 win for Sydney FC over Hills, which could be big down the line in the race to avoid relegation, which, if they're not careful, St George could potentially get wrapped up in. As mentioned, it's 8 points the difference between them and the playoff spot. Judo. Shalaki slices it forward for Sunmola to chase, trying to use his fresh legs, and Speranza gets up his first involvement. Speranza, one of those players that scored against St George back in round 4. Both Chalakian and Udashevsky have already gotten on the score sheet to make it goals in both games against their opposition. See if the defender Speranza can do the same. I just lost sight of the ball there, did Bay Antonio. Spain got a foot to it, but Rizzo will let that roll away and just try and take a bit of sting out of whatever momentum St George have built for themselves. Win, if this result does hold, which it looks extremely likely to do so, Ilinden will stretch their winning run to a very impressive 7 games, which would include a winning run of 6 games here at the Ilinden Sports Centre. Only lost once when they've played here. A bit of afters on the ball here for Hunter Elliott. Has to be careful. It's another substitution. This might be the final one here for St George. Looks like Alex Malfara is receiving his final words, as I might have to worry about defending here. Sunmola has gotten behind the defence. The flag has stayed down. Sunmola was looking for Antonio. Vital last-ditch defending at the back to deny that opportunity. And they're not content with this 4. They want the 5th one, do Ilinden. It's been a game that they've taken control of really since 25th minute. That was when things started to shift in their favour and they got those goals before half-time. It was Collins who went up for the header, looking for his first goal of the season. He hasn't scored since back against Central Coast in August of last year. So it'll be Connor Quilligan, who's come off in place of Alexander Malfara. Quilligan, who's played a couple of roles tonight. He started up front where he was playing as a real target man. Seen him play in midfield as well tonight and on many occasions this season. And Malfara goes to replace him in midfield. Kataoka got past Malfara, the substitute, and Rachudo can now look for Sunmola. Bit of a touch on the way through to the pass, which avoided it getting through to the substitute. And here is Chalakian, who has stayed on. He was having a chat 15 minutes ago with Paul D about potentially having a rest. Doesn't look like he'll be getting it. Rachudo. Pelikanos. Chalakian decides against going to the right, but only turned into a bit of traffic with Grozos there. Malfara lost out to Antonio, looking for a goal. He's come close so far. Rattled the woodwork earlier in the first half as Sunmola forces Axford into a great save, and he tipped it over the bar with quick reactions to do so. Sunmola's looked certainly very lively since coming on, making those runs not too different to the ones Udashevsky was making, sliding across the back line, trying to work off the shoulders of defenders. Certainly a great man to imitate. Here's Udashevsky. So it'll be Katuaka to take this. Puts it near post. Cleared away at the first defender by St. George, and Elliott decides to give it back to the corner taker. Katuaka moving centrally, going on a bit of a journey through the middle and using Griffiths. Chalakian has come well deep to receive the ball, as has Sunmola. And Malfara just late in the challenge there, an easy call for Kurt Ams. Less than 5 minutes remaining now here at the Ilinden Sports Centre. Danaskos trying to do a bit of a pest up top, but again, Ilinden have fresh legs at the back. They haven't done all that much defending in the second half, and the inclusion of Griffiths, Speranza, and now Hunter Elliott at the back means it's only Daniel Collins who's started the game and is still in the back four. So most of the changes, rather, for Paul D have come in the back line. There's been one in midfield with Katuaka there and Yinka Sunmola up top in place of Udashevsky. All 5 substitutes have been used. Outfield ones, that is. Malfara looking to get involved. First touches of the ball for the substitute. Chalakian didn't have the height to get onto that one. Katuaka strong in the challenge, dispossessing in midfield, and now might be able to create a chance off for Antonio. Ball towards Sunmola, and Chalakian was getting through as well, trying a bit of an acrobatic finish in the air. A beautiful ball there by Bay Antonio. Sunmola or Chalakian got meaningful contact towards goal. It certainly would have been in. Axford was diving towards the cross, took the gamble. Speranza nods it down for Antonio. Here is Lockie Griffiths. Options were shut down behind him and had the awareness to go forward, but pass will just slice down towards Axford's goal. Harry Jones. Launched ball towards the back post. That's asking a lot of Danaskos. And Elliott sees it over the sideline, but not without a bit of contact from the St. George captain. And just a couple minutes of regulation time remaining, so a burst of momentum there through Jesse Spang's goal, which would have kick-started an extremely unlikely comeback for St. George. Seems to have now petered out. Instead, it looks like it'll be Ilinden who will take a comfortable 3 points from their perspective. Any danger of this game getting away from them was in the opening 15-20 minutes, which they saw away with ease. And then with those 2 goals before half-time for Udashevsky and Chalakian, momentum was all their way heading into the sheds. And then that continued on the other side of the break, with Chalakian getting his second and then Constable very nicely adding the 4th. Chalakian. Katuaka. Pelicanos. Here's Sunmola. St. George looking to shut down these options, playing out from the back, but they force them down that side and win the ball. Grozos. There'll be 4 minutes of time added on. Potentially time for Ilinden to add a 5th and make this a 5-star performance. So they haven't looked like they've taken the foot off in attack. It was only in defence really where they fell asleep with that offside trap gone wrong, which led to Jesse Spang's goal. Spang wins it back. Looks up and doesn't see anyone to the right, but sees the space, and that's where he goes. Pass by Harry Jones is breaken up by Griffiths, who looks to release Sun Mola. Pass just got away from him and rolls out over the sideline. Stayed on side here, has Morabito, might be able to add the second, cutting it back unselfishly, but a great save by Ricardo Rizzo. Got a foot to it to deflect the pass away. And Morabito there might have perhaps been better off going himself. Again, that offside trap was breached by St. George. Speranza, Antonio, and Chalakian rides the challenge initially and puts the shot on, but again, rising by Chalakian, who felt that he was fouled in the process of taking that shot. As we now edge towards the 2nd minute or 3rd minute of additional time. Ilinden have certainly showed their premiership and, by extension, championship credentials in this game. They've also got the Australian Cup National Round of 32 to think about. They progressed through with that win against Phoenix FC. They'll be happy to get back to that stage. They were knocked out round before that last year by Inter Lions in an upset win. And this time they had no doubt about a comfortable win over Phoenix FC meant they'll be heading to the national stage, potentially a chance at seeing an A-League club play here for these Ilinden fans, which would be a great occasion. Maybe a chance at taking on an NPL interstate side, an away day. We saw the team that beat them into Lions. They had to head up to Darwin last year. They'll certainly be happy to be back where they feel they'll belong. And that also means they're into the final 4 of the Waratah Cup, so a chance at a potential treble here is certainly on the cards for Ilinden. They're top of the league, good chance at the premiership, a good chance at the championship, and a couple wins away from sealing the Waratah Cup as well. We spoke about how it's been good times as of late for Ilinden. They'll keep it rolling with this result. There's a foul on So Katuaka. He's had great touches off the bench, it must be said, in midfield. It's his first season here. Still looking for that goal, but certainly having a great contribution as Kurt Ams whistles full time. A convincing win for the league leaders in the local derby. They run out 4-1 victors. Goals to Chalakian, Constable, and a couple to Udashevsky give them the 3 points, and now extends their winning streak to 7 games in a row, as they'll sit top of the table for another week and have that position by 4 points heading into this weekend's fixtures. I've been Will Constantinidis for you on the Football New South Wales YouTube channel. We'll see you again soon this weekend.